What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's TV review of the Amazon Prime original series, The Boys. This will of course be a non-spoiler about Season 3. Now before we begin, if you like this video, awesome! Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome! Hit that like button as well as comment below on any video that you watch, including this one. So just to give you a heads up, this will be a non-spoiler review for the Season 3 of The Boys. I don't want to spoil it for anyone because it is an interesting season, but I just want to let everyone know I will do my best to not talk about anything that's not in the trailer or, outside the basic synopsis. So just to give you a word of warning and a little comfortability when you watch this review. So Season 3 of The Boys takes place a year after Season 2. It, shows the kind of the after effects of what happened with that climactic battle in Season 2. It shows Homelander now as a lapdog for Giancarlo Esposito's character. We know what happens to Stormfront. But we also see kind of the outcome of what happens to the boys. Huey's character is now working for the government. He's now dating the Starlight character, as we know. And in the process of everything, Bill the Butcher's character is kind of bored. He doesn't have anything to do. Of course, Mother's Milk has left the boys to go be with his family. Frenchie and, of course, Kimiko are now kind of a thing. And it's basically kind of when you beat the bad guy, you kind of see the after effects of what happens. But because this Season 3 needs a catalyst, because this series wouldn't work without, a thing to happen in each season, we are introduced to a character named Soldier Boy, who, of course, is played by Jensen Ackles, who, of course, was in Supernatural. And his character is very pivotal to the overarching story of how it connects with Homelander and Bill the Butcher and how everything kind of starts to push together as the story moves along. But because this is The Boys, there is, stuff that happens which kind of pushes Homelander into a particular scenario. There's stuff that Bill the Butcher does, and of course Huey does, that kind of pushes them into very interesting territory. And it becomes a story of not only chasing after Soldier Boy, but of course the emotional impact of these superhero characters in the world that is The Boys. And like I said, it also has crazy scenarios that happen while it plays out, but it also once again deals with like kind of the human interactions, kind of the fallout of these different characters, and how the story progresses into possible the next Season 4 whenever that comes out next year. So no lie, it is very difficult to not want to talk about this show in spoilers. As you can tell from my synopsis, it wasn't very what I would call expansive. It was very condensed because I feel like this is a show like a lot of few shows that's very anticipated when it comes out. It's a show that, like Stranger Things, where it has such a fervor fan base that you don't want to spoil anything for anybody because you want them to go in and enjoy it and go be shocked and awe and just, what did I just watch? That's what The Boys has done. It's become a anti-superhero show where, unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this show is willing to take chances. It's willing to go to places that not a lot of shows will go, and that's to the credit of Amazon allowing Eric Kripke and his crew and his writing staff to do that kind of thing. And so when I saw the first season, I really enjoyed it. When I saw the second season, I really enjoyed it. And here we are at the third season. And I was wondering, I said, with Season 1 and Season 2 being as good as they are, can Season 3 hold up that momentum? Because as we know, a series with this much, ambition can falter under its own weight. If you like Lost, but you know what happened with Lost, you understand that kind of perspective. And all I can say is there's really nothing to worry about. If you love the first two seasons, this is going to be right up your alley as usual. It's a fantastic season. I actually think it is the best season from my perspective because I think it is a much more emotional season. I think it has a much better core to it. I think the characters are much more three-dimensional. And yes, some characters falter because in the process of seasons moving along, characters tend to, go by the wayside or become kind of the comedic off jokes and stuff like that. Like the Deep, I think he's very underused in this third season, but he's more of a Drax, I guess you could say. He's more used for humor and kind of a punching bag, but there are characters like Maeve and A-Train who actually have some interesting kind of dimension to them, especially the stuff that A-Train is having to deal with and his drug addiction and the kind of after effects of that. Maeve is having to deal with the fallout of her leaving Homelander and stuff like that, and it's just very interesting to see when the writers and staff finally just find that that way of hitting that stride that really makes it a very impactful thing to watch. And I just found that very intriguing. I think the idea of these characters going into different places really helps the story move along, and that's the kind of credit to how good the writers have become and the directors and the cast and how comfortable they feel, and the fact that you know, they're willing to like take chances with certain scenarios and go to certain places. And even though it can be crazy and just like, I think I've seen everything now, it just works. It really does. It makes it for a very entertaining show. It's not a show like, you know, as you know, is for everyone, but if you really like, you know, just very crazy, strange, demented shows, this is the perfect show for you. It really is. It's right up there, like I said, with Invincible, where it just does what it does and has no qualms about what it's doing. You know, there are things in this season that actually takes it up to a different level when it comes to, oh my God, what did I watch? It's really crazy. Especially, I will say this first 15 minutes of the first episode, you'll be like, I think I've seen it all now. I really do. I think the boys have done everything, and then they find some way to, up themselves in the next few episodes or so on and so forth. And there are episodes that I like better than others, of course. I think the first 2 episodes are fine. I think they have their moments, but once the core of the season and series gets going, and once it kind of gets into its groove and introduces characters, introduces people, I think it's when it starts kind of, you know, balancing itself really well. And I was, you know, sitting here going, you know, like the last 3 episodes are absolutely fantastic, make this series this season just absolutely perfect in a lot of respects. And so with that said, there are some characters I want to point out individually because I think their dimension has kind of risen really well in this 3rd season. But the characters I want to start out with, of course, are of course Karl Urban and Jack Quaid, who of course play Huey, and of course Bill the Butcher. I think they do a fantastic job, as they always have. They've always been the standout of the show, but I think the way they interact with the different characters in the show, the way they introduce themselves in the show, and just kind of how they present themselves as a new dimensional take on the characters that they've played for the last couple of years. They do an absolutely fantastic job with just kind of the anti-heroes / heroes to this show. They are playing, you know, very difficult individuals who are doing very difficult things in this season. You know, the idea of Bill the Butcher and his whole kind of philosophy and how that starts changing, and of course Huey and how he has to deal with the government side as well as the boys side. It's a very interesting dichotomy to a series that I really kind of loved. And of course Alonso, who plays Mother's Milk, who's having to deal with, of course, his daughter and his daughter's stepfather, and that whole scenario. I don't want to get into any spoilers, but there's a particular reason that scenario happens, but he's become much more realized. I love the idea of like Frenchie and Kimiko as a couple, and just really kind of developed as the series moves along. And I think Kimiko and Frenchie have some of the best moments in the series. But the 2 characters I haven't talked about yet are, of course, Antony Starr, who plays Homelander, who I will say this, I don't think it'll happen, but I think he definitely deserves an Emmy nomination for this season because he is absolutely disturbed. He's absolutely scary to watch, but he is absolutely phenomenal in his performance as this character. I think he takes Homelander to a much different, much more like high stakes situation. His character, as the story plays along, has much more 3-dimension to it, and it's just an absolutely riveting performance for somebody that's so scary to watch, because this guy is the Superman of the series. And to think what he can do and the kind of scenarios that his character plays out in this 3rd season are absolutely something else, I'm telling you what. And the things that happen to him are very interesting and kind of give him a much more, not relatable, much more humanistic approach to his character. So I give a lot of credit to Antony Starr. I think he absolutely does a fantastic job in this series. And he makes, you know, this 3rd season his own, which is fantastic. And like I said, the things that he has to do, things he has to juggle, and the things he has to put upon himself as an actor in this series is, I give him a lot of credit. I give a lot of credit to all these actors, but him especially. But one of the most anticipated things to come out of The Boys and its entire series run is the casting of Jensen Ackles, of course, as Soldier Boy. This is a character that apparently is very beloved in the comics. I unfortunately have not read the comic book, so please forgive me for that. But I knew that his character and his casting were very much, there was an excitement point to it. So I went in thinking that he was going to be pretty good, and he absolutely knocks out the role. He's fantastic in this series. Once again, he could be an Emmy nominee for all I know, and I would absolutely agree with it, because he is a character with a lot of dimension to him. He has a lot of things that are very of its time, and the way his character plays out, the way his connections to the other characters play out, his overall feeling of the Payback group, like I said, is the early version of the Watchmen type of scenario, where they have all these different characters, but they they are involved in a way that kind of makes the story run in the eventual season 3. But I just really love what Jensen Ackles is doing here. I think he's fantastic. I think his mindset and his mood and the way the writers wrote him and how he portrays his character and just everything about him is absolutely just fun and energetic, and he has an interesting payoff at the end, but I love everything about him. I love how he's introduced. I love how his character just kind of comes into the mix and all that. So it's a fun character. It's a well-written character. It's a character that, like I said, once again, has a lot of emotional impact for a lot of these characters, and it's absolutely fun just to watch Jensen Ackles running around with a shield and you know, costume and stuff like that. We know him, like I said, from Supernatural and whatnot, and he's so much fun in this show. So to kind of conclude this review, once again, they upped the ante for season 3. Is absolutely fantastic. Best of the series, like I said. It's definitely one that you should watch, especially if you love this series. And for something that is audacious and insane and, you know, bonkers for what it's worth, it definitely has a much more emotional impact than I ever thought it would. So definitely recommend. If I were to give it a score, it'd be a 9.5 out of 10. The half point that I took off was just some of the characters underutilized, but in the end, it is another season of The Boys, and it doesn't disappoint. So there you go. Anyways, that'll do it. That'll be my take on season 3 of The Boys, the non-spoiler review. Comments below. What do you think? Are you looking forward to in this 3rd season? Are you even looking forward to this 3rd season? Let me know in the comments. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming in next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.